So I'm still snuggled down like a bug in a rug here. It was 10 degrees last night, so it was my coldest one yet. I got this mask because I originally got it because the moon was so bright. But I was wearing one at my house too. It does help not to wear it, then I don't wake up as soon as the sun comes up. So I'll just kind of show you how I stayed warm. I put this blanket over my head, like this. And then I put one of these emergency blankets over me, but I put it between me and the wall of the car because, that's where, your side sleeper and your back goes against the car, so it draws the heat away from you. Yay for Thermarest mattress, because underneath I'm really warm. Oh, that's my Bible on Audible going in the background. Shoot, I should have turned that off before I started, but I really just kind of wanted to document how I was able to stay warm, and I am warm under here. But I gotta tell you, I'm dreading getting up because I don't know what the temperature is in this car, but I did get up once, maybe 2:30 in the morning, to use the snowy restroom outside. And then, that's not like at home. You just go to the restroom, you come back to it. No, it's a whole process, You gotta get up. I gotta contortion myself into the front seat, put my boots on, go out there, do the stuff. Then I gotta come back here, wash my hands, warm the car up again, and then you're wide awake. So it takes a little bit to fall back to sleep. But I did. I think last night I probably got the most sleep out of any nights. I ended up falling asleep listening to one of my meetings about 9, and then I woke up around 2:30, and then went back to sleep around 4, and I think it's almost 7. So that's great, because part of the thing of this is just the fatigue, I'm just so tired. But yesterday I was able to walk into the woods. I walked about 400 yards to check on my jacket that's off-gassing my. We had quite a bit of snow, almost 6 inches up here in Line Mountain. So, that was a bummer, because it just makes everything difficult, But I think I'm going to start sharing these every day on Facebook, too, because it's an more easily accessible place for people to ask me questions, so that if you have questions, I can answer them for you. One thing I thought of, I haven't really talked about, is, why couldn't I just take all the stuff from my house, because my helper, Calvin, he keeps wanting to bring stuff from my house to me, which is a good idea and it's helpful, but I've been, strongly cautioned by the mold avoiders not to do that. They said bring nothing, because it's all basically toxic. Because you don't know exactly, mold creates microscopic, that's what myco means, toxins, microscopic toxins that soak into everything, and that really can't be cleaned, I did do a lot of research on that, and there are some people that distinctly believe that you can clean it off glass and metal. So I have allowed him to bring me, last night he brought me my Stanley thermos. And he said, he cleaned it. I had him clean it in the sink with borax and hot water, because I was so cold and I couldn't finagle using my Coleman stove to heat up water. So, he brought me a Stanley thermos full of soup, and then he brought me his Stanley thermos that was full of water. But I wasn't able to use that because, and I don't know if this is a sense or whatever, but as soon as I opened the metal lid of it, I smelled mold. So I quickly put it back on, because the whole idea, right, is to keep my sleeping space as pristine as possible. And, you know, right now I can't sleep with the window open because it's too cold. But as soon as I can sleep with the window open, that'll be great too, because then I'll be able to breathe the air all night. And air does get in here. But you see how like it's frosty, because so what I usually do, like when I get up, first thing I'll do is go around with paper towels and wipe this moisture. And then obviously, there. See, I put this down at my feet too. Because my feet. So here I am. This is the back of the car. Ooh, chilly when I sit up. So yeah. And so he also cleaned up. I bought this cool thing called a Hot Logic that a fellow mold avoider told me about, where you plug it in, you get a adapter thing, you plug it into your cigarette lighter, and it heats up food. So when my friend Danielle brought me all this stuff the other day, I had her bring me some frozen vegetables that I can eat, and I was going to cook them in the Hot Logic, and I was all excited. Well, the Hot Logic has a little plastic dish inside, so I didn't think, because I was hungry, so I put the food into the Hot Logic, the plastic Hot Logic, and I turned it on, and then a couple of minutes later, I started tasting. I'm just going to forget about my hair because it's a lost cause. I started tasting on my tongue some sort of, it tasted a little bit like, I don't know, a mixture between petroleum jelly and tires. And I was like, where's that coming from? Is someone burning a fire? No, I was burning a fire, because that new plastic that was warming up in the Hot Logic was emitting whatever, some sort of chemical. So I had to unplug it, and you know, I just put that plastic container that already had my food in it, I put it in my cooler. I don't know if that food now has taken the taste of the Hot Logic and I won't be able to eat it. Probably. It's probably wasted, which that's okay. So I called Calvin and I said, hey, do you want to work today? And I need a glass baking dish. This is from my house. I need you to wash it and bring it here, but don't bring the lid. And he said, why don't bring the lid? I said, because I have foil. I'll use the foil. Yes, but I can wash it. I said, okay. I just didn't have the energy to argue. You know what I mean? I just didn't have the energy to argue. So I told him to bring it here. And I did use it. And now, because it fits on perfectly, right? So that the food and stuff doesn't go all over inside the Hot Logic. And so I did use it. And now I'm hoping, and now I'm worried, oh my God, I hope I didn't contaminate my whole Hot Logic. And I hope I won't have to throw out my Hot Logic now. But so I got right on Amazon, and you can order replacement lids on Amazon. So I did that, and I've changed my address because I noticed when I even go down the hill to my house, it's too much. Can't handle it. So all my stuff is going to the Line Mountain Post Office, and the people there, shout out to Linda. They're so awesome. She even brought my mail out to my car for me yesterday, and that was so nice of her. All right, I'm starting to shiver a little bit, so I'm going to, I'll show you. I'll just show you how I finagle. All right, how I finagle up to the front seat. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see, but I'll attempt it. So this sleeping bag's great because it even cinches up kind of like around me. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this with one hand. Here we go. Oh, I do want to tell about why I almost didn't do this channel. So the reason is I didn't want to go on camera. Even for Zoom meetings, I did not want to be on camera because I felt like I looked so terrible compared to how I used to look. I used to have this thick auburn hair, and I usually heavily highlighted it blonde. And it was wavy and beautiful. And then, okay, so first thing I leave this seat up because then I can kind of maneuver from it, you know what I mean, in the back. And I always put my sleep mask there. So I'm learning, right, the important thing is to continuously put things in the same exact spot so that I'm not wasting time and, more importantly, precious energy looking for stuff, you know. And that's kind of a thing in real life too, but we get lazy about it. When we're living in a house, we have electricity and running water. So then I just kind of do this. I don't know if you can see, I get up on my knees right here, and I'm putting all my weight on the console, right, here we go. The console of my Subaru. So I don't know, that's probably not very good for it, but it's just for a second while I kind of scooch. There. Now I'm in the front seat. Okay, so turn on the car. And I'll turn off the Bible so you guys can hear me better. And, another thing is, I was putting my phone in the, and another thing, these heated seats on this have really, really helped me. Oh, so now I gotta reach back there and get my blanket. All right, there, rub the engine a little bit. Okay, so, yeah, we got some snow, some considerable snow. I'm not sure how much yet. And what time is it? 7:10, yay. So I did sleep a little bit longer, that's good. So this is what's going on outside. This is the Iron City RV Park. If you're an RVer and you're in the Northeast, it's definitely worth the trip because that park is built, so it's built on the old mine shaft for the mine, the land, and the view is spectacular. You can see both lakes, the upper lake and the lower lake of Chateauguay Lake from up there, and it's really, really pretty, especially in the fall, you know. So I'm so grateful to him for letting me sleep here. It says 20 degrees on my car. Hold on, I'm going to put on my little poncho here. My makeshift emergency poncho that I made out of a blanket. But I tell you, it kept me warm yesterday. I was out and walking around in the snow. And I wasn't toasty, but I was acceptably warm, I guess I could say. Okay, so back to this, stuff from the house. So basically, last year when I found out about the mold and I knew I had to leave, I started thinking, what would I grab if the house was on fire? That's what I need to save. So my friend Becky came and we sat outside and we went through some of my totes, and I was still masked. So that's another thing I'll have to talk about. When you're masked to mold, my body created a mask, basically, to protect itself from mold. And so that's why when people would say, well, how come you can tolerate being in your house, but you can't tolerate chemicals? Well, it was that mask that my body created to protect itself. And then if you think about your body as a bucket, and the body can only handle so many toxins, and then the bucket overflows. So that's kind of what I think it was. My whole body was so full of these toxins from, the antibiotics and the mycotoxins that when I came in contact with a chemical, it just overflows. So when I took those fluoroquinoline antibiotics, that's why I'm talking about my hair now, my hair started falling out in handfuls. I mean, it didn't fall out in patches, but it just was thinning in handfuls. And I mean, for a woman to lose her hair, it was pretty traumatic, I mean, it clogged my drain. My neighbor had to come over one night because my tub wouldn't drain, and she took apart the pipe, and something fell out that I can only describe as looking like a dead rat, and it was my hair, And I even had one of those hair thingies on there, but so much was falling out. And then the other thing is my teeth. So another thing that fluoroquinoline antibiotics does is it affects all the connective tissue in the body, and it affects your tendons and your joints. It somehow messes around with the calcium absorption too. And so, and I was a person who I already had a lot of dental work in my mouth, which I now know is toxic. That's a whole video in and of itself. But I had a root canal in 2015, and it started to hurt. So, well, actually, what happened was my eye swelled up. This eye swelled up really big. And I got this weird rash right here and rash right here. And so what do? Your eye swells up. You call your eye doctor. I went down to the eye doctor at Eye Care for the Adirondacks in Malone. And I had him look at my eye. And he said, well, I don't think it's an eye disease per se. He said, you have urticaria under your eyelid, which is like hives. So I said, well, where is that coming from? And he said, I don't know, I don't know what to tell you. So I went to my regular doctor. I had her feel, because the pain was right here. That's where the pain was. I had her feel up there. It was like it was from here to here. And she didn't know. She was like, I don't know. Went to the dentist. I said, could it be this root canal? Oh no, it looks fine on the x-ray. So long story short, I went through this 1, 2, 3 waltz dance between doctor, dentist, ear, nose, and throat doctor, which I won't even get into it, but the ear, nose, and throat doctor had Glade plugins in his office. And I was like, do you understand that those are neurotoxins? So anyway, so I couldn't go back there. I went once and I couldn't go back. But he did look up in my sinuses and he said, well, there's no holes or anything. And he did say, they're very inflamed. I want you to do a CAT scan, which I didn't do because, again, I'm going to get exposed to chemicals. They're going to close me in a little room full of I don't know. I just I couldn't force myself to do it. I'm not saying that I'll never do it in the future. I might. So anyway, I finally decided I'm going to get a second opinion. I got a second opinion from another oral surgeon because the medicated oral surgeon was like, I'm not pulling that tooth. There's nothing wrong with it, Michelle. And not just a tooth, okay? It was a tooth attached to a bridge that I paid $3,000 for out of pocket for that bridge. 3 teeth here, And he's like, I'm not pulling it, It looks fine to me. I said, but it hurts, it hurts. Well, Michelle, if you really want me to pull it, I will, but I'm going to write something that it's against medical advice. I'm like, great. So that whole dance went on 3 years, and finally I said, I'm going to try to find a holistic dentist. So I found a holistic dentist down in Ballston Spa, and I went down for the consultation, and he just tipped his head, and he was like, honey, you're right, obviously something's going on up there. But the dentists are right too. It's not showing on the x-ray. But it's up to you. Are you going to trust your body or are you going to trust an x-ray? And I said, I'm going to trust my body. Please help me. So he does this really awesome oral surgery. He explained it all to me. They pull the tooth out, and then after the tooth is gone, they take a picture of what's remaining, and they make sure that they get out everything in there that could possibly cause infection. And this is going to be long, but I guess I have to tell it. So he pulled it out, and he said, the original roots from the root canal were never dealt with. They were up into my jawbone right here, and they were causing an infection for 7 years. I mean, that root canal is 7 years old. So for 7 years, my body was fighting an infection right here. And I don't know if you can tell, but this whole side of my face was swollen, and fighting for 7 years. And guys, I can't take any antibiotics at all. So I can talk about, or you can ask me how I fought that infection for 7 years, homeopathically and naturally and herbally and every other way I can think of. So, my people, Jackie and Calvin, my other people, were like, wow, well, maybe now that you got this issue resolved with the tooth, maybe you'll be better. Oh, because the dentist also did educate me. He said a lot of people who have multiple chemical sensitivities also have a lot of amalgam fillings and a lot of dental work, like root canals and fake stuff in their mouth. And that contributes to the toxicity in the body that causes multiple chemical sensitivity. And I'm like, that really makes sense to me. And he has a whole program where I can go there and get all the toxic stuff removed from my mouth. He even has infrared saunas for detox. But in order to get everything from my mouth removed that is toxic, I have two choices. I can either get all my teeth pulled and get dentures, or it's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, I can't even begin to grasp how much. So just to get this one out, he does a special procedure. So after he took an x-ray after he pulled my tooth. And he also told me in the beginning that there was going to be a lot more blood than I was used to, because the kind of stuff that he uses to numb me is different from what traditional dentists use, because they use something in their mix that stops the blood from flowing to the area to make it easier for them to see, to do work. But he doesn't use that because that blood is the body's natural response to, cleansing and healing. So I said, okay. And he was right. I mean, there was a lot more blood. I mean, it was, yeah. So after he pulls the tooth, he takes another x-ray, and he's up there, I mean, on my jawbone, and you guys, I'm already so weak, and he's doing that on my jawbone, and I had my mouth open, and I just kept repeating the 23rd Psalm in my head over and over. And he had some students in the room, and you should have seen their faces. They were like, I mean, they couldn't believe it. And when they, and then at one point, the Novocaine or whatever, it's not Novocaine, but whatever it is, wore off, and you had to start over. And I sat up and I spit out blood, and I started to cry. And, this dentist was so compassionate. He put his hand on my shoulder, and he was like, it's okay. This is traumatic. Your body's just releasing a lot of trauma right now. And the students were like, I have to say, I don't know how you're sitting there with your mouth open, allowing him to do this. I mean, this is, So then I made it through. Yay. It's all over. I'm sitting in the chair, and then all of a sudden, lights out, just lights out, just lights out. Oh no, it wasn't lights out. It was, I started to shake. My whole body started to shake. Like, just my legs started to shake. My whole body started to shake, and then lights out. The next thing I remember, there's this cute little girl going, Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. And I was so confused. My neighbor Jackie had driven me down there, and this girl had blue eyes, and I looked at her, and I saw her eyes, and I said, Jackie? Like, I didn't know who she was. So the doctor came in, and they gave me oxygen for like 20 minutes, and they ended up wheeling me out out to the car in a wheelchair, just so I didn't fall on the way out and down. And then on the way home, I was cold, but driving with the windows open, the air, and of course that took a while. It really hurt, and and I don't take any type, drugs or anything. Well, the lady did convince me to take a Motrin. She's like, listen, you're going to want to take something, and I said, oh, I have my Arnica here. She goes, no, just listen, I know all about Arnica. Take this. So I did, and I was glad. And while I'm glad I had that done, because that means that I don't have a shooting pain going from here all the way up through my eye into the top of my head anymore, I was self-conscious because I'm missing teeth. Look at, I mean, it's ugly. It's not pretty, and but what I made a decision was that the way I live my life now is that I try to, I say a prayer that says, God, help me. What can I do today for the man that is still sick? And God, fit me to be of maximum service to you and to my fellows. And so that's why I'm doing this, because it's a cautionary tale for all of you who aren't sick. It's a cautionary tale to start getting that toxic stuff out of your bodies and out of your lives now, so that you don't end up like me. I didn't know any better, right? I didn't know that doctors could give you antibiotics that could poison your body. I didn't know. I mean, no, and part of it is not the doctor's fault, right? Because I had moved from Syracuse to here. So I had gotten them in Syracuse. I had gotten them here. There's nobody knew that I had them all that many times except for me. And, and my doctor did tell me that if they were all coming from one doctor, I never would have gotten them that many times, because it would have been regulated, and the doctor would have said, oh, we can't keep giving you this. This is, you know what I mean? But because I was going all over, because it was when I was moving, and, that was my responsibility to know that. And I didn't. I just thought, oh, I trust the doctors, but, that's not fair. I wasn't taking responsibility for my own health. I was putting the responsibility for my health onto my doctors. And it's not their responsibility. I'm the one that's responsible. So I don't know. So I used to have a lot of anger about it, but I don't anymore because I wrote step work on it. I wrote out a resentment on it, and I followed it through to the end, which is another whole video. But so I recognized that the crux of the problem was me. I was the one putting myself in a position to be hurt by toxins, and I was hurt by toxins. But again, so that's why I want to do this, because I want to tell you guys, if you have a Glade plug-in in your house, I beg you really, throw that out. All of that stuff. It's extremely toxic. Dryer sheets contain neurotoxins. Even the fragrance-free ones contain neurotoxins. Now, I'm not saying don't ever buy another dryer. What I'm saying is this. This is how we affect change, people. I say this. You stop buying that stuff. That sends a message to the companies. Oh, nobody's buying this. We better make a product that will sell. And I want them to make products that sell that don't contain toxic chemicals, because we're not only poisoning people's bodies, we're poisoning the planet. And how long can it go on, really? They call us canaries. Like people like me, they call us canaries because they would put about the story about the canaries. They put them in the coal mine, and when the canary stops singing, the oxygen's running out, and all the men can run out and save their lives. So this is me. I'm a canary, and I'm telling you, start reducing your toxic load now so that this doesn't happen to you. So this was a really long video, but I just really felt the need to share everything that I shared. And I'm going to start putting these on Facebook too, and I don't even know, other platforms. I don't know. I just, I have no idea where I'm going, what I'm doing. It's just literally one day at a time right now. So, but I really would love it if you want to do something for me. Number 1, stop using dryer sheets. And number 2, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.